Today, along with the new build that was just released in Rise of Kingdoms, we just saw a brand new formation that was added to the game that was not technically released, but then again, it is still in the game as you can see here on the screen right here. So we're going to talk about this formation as well as what I think it's going to be based on my premises on why I think those are going to be. So stick around as we will be talking about this throughout this video. But first, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the Musi Game here, and today I want to talk to you about the new formation that was just released into the game that was not released, technically released, but then again, it's in the game, in the system. Obviously, we can tell from this screen right here. This is actually a live build. This is not a video or a still image that I got from somewhere. This is on my account, on my Metatron account, which is my main account. And it is just sitting right there. But when you actually go into the actual armament screen, you don't really see any information about this formation. But yeah, so that's the only way that you can actually check it. If you actually go into the items, if you go into armaments, and then if you click on quality, the drop down menu, this is where you'll be able to see this new armament. And I gotta give a shout out towards you. I actually looked at Chisgule Gaming's video, and this is where I kind of found out the information about. I really didn't know about this at all. So shout out to Chisgule, the goat of the Authorized Kingdoms content creators. Kudos for you. Thank you, Chisgule, for letting me know that this was happening. But my video is different from his because I'm gonna be doing more in-depth assumption on what this is gonna be and why I think my assumptions are going to be true on what premise. So, but first, let's just take a look at what it looks like. This kind of looks like two-line formation. It's almost like echelon, but then again, it is just rather horizontal version of echelon. So it's very interesting looking. I don't really know what it's going to be called, to be really honest with you. Double line. But it does look like a formation that maybe could be used for, archers or maybe what's this called? Like engineering commanders, because when you line up two lines of troops in a row, I would assume that the backside has to, or the front side and the backside, maybe, has to shoot some arrows and whatever. So that's my assumption. But that's just how it looks right now on the screen in the game, as you can see here on the screen. And my assumptions on it is simple. I have three assumptions on it, by the way. I have three kind of theories on what those could be. And my first theory is that this is going to be the new skill damage formation that is going to replace Wedge. And my premise on this is simple. One, I think in the face-to-face with the developer knows that that was released, I think, a couple months ago. It's still in the Rise of Kingdoms official Discord, by the way. So if you want to actually take a look at it, you can go ahead and look at it yourself. But in that note, developers has released their intention to actually release one more skill damage formation, smite damage formation, as well as combo damage formation until the end of the year. And then they're gonna go into, I think they said something along the lines of every 6 months they're gonna release a new formation. So I think this might be the part of it, and given that we already have Delta formation for combo, we have we have Smite formation for the pincer formation for Smite, and we're just missing the new formation for skill damage. And Wedge is the latest. Wedge was the oldest formation among the three damage types, so I think that is my premise for the skill damage for the new formation being the skill damage formation. And I think it makes the most sense because for one, obviously the special inscription for wedges are good, but they're not as crazy good as something like what you see on Pincer, right? Toppler, you got 5% smite damage buff, and then whenever you do smite damage, the target takes 20% increased smite damage. Hunter is good on Wish, but it is not nearly as good as whatever we just saw from Toppler, right? Same goes with Demolisher, right? Demolisher, it gives you that 5% extra smite damage buff, and then whenever your troop deals smite damage, that's 75% chance to ignore 50% of the target's defense. The effect can trigger multiple times in a single second, so 75% the chance to ignore the target's defense by 50%. This is crazy, right? But whatever we have for Wedge is good. Unstoppable is good, 5% skill damage buff, and then 30% chance to deal extra 10%, but it's not as good as ignoring the damage, ignoring the defense of the target by 50%. So yeah, I think the skill damage makes sense. We're gonna have better special inscriptions on the new formation, I'm assuming. And I'm gonna assume that the skill damage buff here might be buffed or nerfed. I think each has different meanings to it. If the special inscriptions on those formations are too OP, maybe they may only give you like what, I don't know, 2.5% more skill damage buff on the formation itself, but then recompensate the total damage uplift from the special inscription so that people who start off the game can still use Wedge because they don't have special inscription for that formation. And, people who are just who are kind of, rally leads and garrison leads can actually look into that two-line formation, the new formation at the end of the day. And, having a great new formation is going to help the game, in my opinion, the most among all the other options that I'm about to suggest you. It is because of the fact that there's a lot of commanders that are in the game that are skill damage based commanders like Eleanor, Huo, Nevsky that are just dying in the game right now, right? If you're maining infantry or cavalry, you guys already can tell that a lot of the skill damage based commanders are falling off. Like, for example, the Scipio Prime, Guan Yu, Ragnar Prime, all those commanders that were really, really good, but then again, are just not doing the right type of damage. So hence they're kind of being pushed out by commanders like Arthur, Bai Chu, Liu Che that does smite damage or combo damage. Unless you're archer main, then you'd be doing skill damage either way, right? And garrisons like Eleanor will also be kind of suffering from, is currently suffering from the fact that they don't have as good of an armament like Pincer that they have versus Gorgo Tokugawa, which is the replacement for Eleanor. So I think a brand new skill damage formation does make the most sense. And especially given the fact that we just released Qin Shi Huang and Shapur the First, and given the fact that Shapur the First is not performing as well as we were imagining at the end of the day, a lot of people are still using Attila Subutai just because of the fact that Attila Subutai does have a little bit more counter attack damage and anti-swarm measures than Japur Ashurbanipal. So yeah, so that is my assumption. My little worry there is that Qin Shi Huang, who is already pretty OP right now in the game, is gonna get even more busted for those of you who are maining Archer Commander. But let's just face it, if they just focus on most of the powers going into Special Inscription, which is what the case was for Pincer, I don't think it's going to be too much of an uplift for most players, except for those who are maining Archer troops, which I think that's fine. Because people who are maining Archer troops, they only have two main kind of like Archer viable field marches that they can actually bring into the field right now. And having a little bit more buff with Qin Shi Huang, with special inscriptions basically giving it extra buff, I think that could be fine. But let's see. That's just my first assumption. Is that my assumption number one is that this new formation is gonna give you skill damage formation, and it's gonna just give you a pincer level, if not maybe a little lower level of special inscription, just to make sure that it's balanced with other skill damage, other formations like pincer. Like, I don't think Delta is really that strong at this point, so yeah. And it would revitalize a lot of commanders like Kuo, Nevsky, Jonabar Prime, Guan Yu, Scipio Prime, and Ragnar Prime. So it kind of is going to benefit all commanders, all troop type mains all around, in my opinion. But yeah, so that's my assumption number one. Assumption number two is that it's going to be a new combo formation. And that the reason why I'm assuming this is simple, for one, we just got the release of the new and the latest engineering commanders into the game. So if, and this is only if, Lilith thinks that releasing engineering commander pair can replace leadership commander pair, then the only next logical step is that we're going to go into cavalry right away, going into maybe late August and early September into the game, because that's this year we've been actually having crazy commander release cycle. And that if they want to just go ahead and fast forward as much as possible so that the new the new combo damage formation pairing with Arthur is released into the game so that it kind of balances out the field at the end of the day, it very well could be the new Delta formation. Again, it is part of what developers talked about in their face-to-face with the developers earlier part of the year, whereas they said there's going to be one new skill damage formation, one new Delta damage formation, and then one new smite damage formation. So yeah, so this very well could be the smite damage formation. In all honesty, I think that is also really good because I think right now Delta is a little too weak to be using on the field, to be really honest with you. Like, to a point where all the rallies are using Attila Subutai with Arch formation, or not all, but most of people who actually care about the 1% extra marginal trade, 2% extra marginal trades that you will be able to see from using Attila Subutai, like myself, which is, so the crazy ones are using Arch to micro optimize the damage output for rallies, because Delta is just not as strong as Arch at this very moment. And then that has something to do with the fact that a lot of the damage output from Cavalry Rally does come from the fact that it is anti-swarmable, and it does a lot of counterattack damage, right? So seeing the fact that a lot of rally leads and a lot of rally leads are for cavalry are not using Delta, and also the other part is that right now the strongest cavalry pair is Full being paired with Arthur, or Jonabar Prime paired with Arthur, both of which basically uses cavalry as skill damage dealing commanders. Maybe Lilith just maybe thought that it might be the Delta formation was just not on par of the damage output as we were seeing on Pincer. So maybe they're releasing another combo damage formation, which is going to be really good for me. And obviously, this is a little bit of wishful thinking, but then again, I think that's basically my assumption number two, which is that this new formation is going to be a new Delta formation. Given the fact that we just had the release of 2 engineering commanders, although they're, I think, the KFK season 2 engineering commanders. If they consider that as a release of new leadership / engineering commander, and then the next cavalry commanders are coming next, perhaps they're releasing the combo damage formation along with it, is my other assumption. And assumption number 3 kind of goes along the same line as what I just said about cavalry commander, but then again, I think assumption number 3 is that this formation is dedicated formation that is made for leadership commander. So, and this goes with one assumption, with the premise that the latest release of engineering commanders that we just saw into the game, and I know that these commanders are KVK season 2 or later commanders, so these are younger commanders. If they did not release those 2 commanders, those 2 engineering commanders as as part of the leadership cycle in the game, then the next cycle for commander release is going to be leadership, because we just went through cavalry, which was going to be Arthur with Subutai, and then infantry, which was gonna be Baichi with Tokugawa Ieyasu, and then archer with Qin Shi Huang and Japur the First, right? Then the next turn obviously is leadership, and maybe perhaps the new formation is designed so that the new leadership commanders, as well as the existing leadership commanders, can excel much better on the field. And yeah, so that's my main premise. And it also helps me get a little more weight into that assumption, given that it just looks like the echelon formation as well, right? It basically is a 45-degree rotated version of the echelon formation. And echelon formation, for those of you who don't know, is mainly designed for leadership buffers. At the end of the day, it will give you give your buffing multiplier up by 1.2 times, and it has a lot of special inscription that does help you along with that. So maybe, and just maybe, the look, if how the formation looks is the hint of what we're trying to get, maybe the leadership commander release cycle is going to come out with a brand new formation that is just designed for new buffer, or maybe just in general leadership commanders at the end of the day. And that's what this formation is. So yeah, so those are my three assumptions that I have for the new formation that we just see in the game. Again, if you want to check out those formations and how they look, you just got to go into the armament section of the game, and then you just got to click on the quality drop down menu right here, and you'll be able to see the new formation. We don't have any information on what this is going to look like, so I made three wild guesses on how they're going to look like in the game, what they're supposed to be in the game, based on some of the premises that we got earlier part of this year. If you guys actually did think differently from myself, please go ahead and drop it down in the comment down below, because I would love to find out what you guys think. And also at the same time, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so, as well as joining my Discord, because I will basically send out notifications for any of the releases of my new videos on that Discord channel as well. So yeah, if you guys haven't done so, please do so. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. All right, peace.